This guy came with a spec that you literally had to have a ladder to look over, and a safe to put it in. And every time you needed to find out something, he'd open the safe, take it out, open the page, chapter and verse, block everything else out, and you'd read it. So we got to be friends, we'd go out, have a cocktail, play ball, things like that. Finally, the project was done. About 2 years later, I'm in the office, just getting ready to leave, and this guy calls me up, his name is Jack Foley, and he says, watch TV tonight, you'll see our project. I says, how will I know? He says, oh, it'll be the lead story. There's the Glomar Explorer setting out in the Pacific Ocean. Russian trawlers going around it like this. U.S. destroyers going around them like this. They were pulling up a sub from the bottom of the Pacific Ocean that had suffered a nuclear accident, and it had the new MERV-10 missiles on it.
That would be interesting.
Fast forward to 2010, I'm working at CNS companies. I come in one morning and I've got an email. It's from Jack Foley. He now works for the CIA. The project was CIA and Howard Hughes and all of this jazz, right? And he had sent me the documents for Project Azorian that were going to be released the next day. But you read them, you know, it's got 4 sentences at the top, and then everything else is blacked out. They still haven't released it because it's still considered part of the nation's security. Well, it looks like it's going to be nice and quiet today.
I think Paul Niddle might come, but like I said, I know Mr. Anderson, I think he wasn't even home from work yet, so.
Well, one of the big bones of contention, and everybody has a copy of the local law filing that's done by Scriber, and there's something similar that's done with other towns, Mexico, Valmy. Pretty much all of them have the same penalty clause, okay, which happens to be $250 fine, okay? Once you go before a judge, and normally, okay, it's something like that, you get a warning, and then the next time you get a fine, and then on and on, okay? Eventually it gets expensive. But one of the biggest contentions has been, well, what isn't? And what isn't a obnoxious sound, or if you will, what is exempt? And that's on this sheet of paper here. And a lot of these are pretty much self-explanatory, okay? I guess we're not going to be able to shut down the church bells or chimes, okay? That's considered, okay, an allowable or exempt sound. Sounds created by a government agency or its agents, including but not limited to the use of an emergency warning device or authorized emergency vehicle. Again, the term emergency warning device and authorized emergency vehicle. And those are, I believe, pretty self-explanatory and reasonable sounds to exempt. Now we get to one that can always be not in favor. Sounds created by lawnmowers, with functioning mufflers in good working order, and home power tools in good working order, in use between the hours of 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. on weekdays and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Sundays and holidays. And everybody, I'm sure, has a neighbor that's not far away from them. And, you know, your next door neighbor just got home late from work, the grass is growing. It happens to be the 15th of June, so the sun doesn't set until 9 something. And he runs out and mows his lawn. And that's just fine, usually. Now, I have seen places where I've seen people mowing at 10:30 or 11 at night with lights on. Again, you know, this is discretionary, okay? It's your neighbor, okay? Because you may do things also that might be objective. You might run out of firewood for the fireplace and run out and somebody buzzes up a tree real quick just so they can have a nice fire in the evening. Probably not the end of the world, but again, it deals with, he's my neighbor, he does things, I do things. Now, that doesn't mean that everything that either one of you do is acceptable. After 17 cocktails, some people decide that they should go out and shoot their shotgun about 5 boxes of shells, which if your math isn't real good, that's 125 shots. That's a little more than even opening day of duck season. So that's probably falls in that not acceptable category.
Who determined these hours, 7 AM to 2 PM on this? Scriber? This the same thing, Scriber or not?
Yeah.
No, 7 till
This is-
8 p.m.
Right, 7 AM to 8 PM.
No. But again, you know, let's face it, all of us have gone to work early in the morning. And we've all had this occurrence in Oswego County called snow.
Where?
And sometimes a lot of it,
That's a must though. That you can't help.
you know.
Now, what if you're just driving by someone's house and you see someone mowing at 10 o'clock at night? You have to be affected by that noise, correct? Because I don't,
I would say that the person closest to it, because if it was somebody a quarter of a mile away from you, you might be able to hear it.
if you're still
you went
affected by it,
outside,
yeah, but,
You know,
yeah.
but,
So this is something you have to do to keep your lawn going and stuff, but not playing loud music. That's your entertainment. That's not a necessary thing. you know?
right. And everybody has a party. Everybody has, you know, I mean,
Right.
whether it's grandkids, graduation, anniversary.
But if you just decide to get up at 9 o'clock at night, and start hitting the drums and music loud,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
sleep,
Right.
that's,
That's a different story.
yep, that's, yep.
Last time I mentioned that for years here on County Route 6, down what I call Phelpstown, okay, because there are a whole bunch of Phelps that live down there, they would have a black party. And Dave Wolver would come, a couple of his friends, they'd play some music, they'd have some cocktails, they'd have hamburgers, hot dogs, a dish to pass, blah, blah, blah. But at 11 o'clock at night, okay, it quieted right down. They might have sat around and talked and laughed for a while. But, you know, and you could hear it, you know, at my house, okay? But it wasn't outlandish.
And it wasn't 2-3 times a week.
No,
Right,
no.
that's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, everybody, if one way or another, like sometimes we get together with Bob and Mary Hibbert, their son Jeremy, his son and wife come over. Her daughter comes in from Oswego, and there'll be 15 of us in the backyard, you know, sitting there chatting, perhaps having some liquid refreshment. But yeah, you know, we invite Russell over sometimes, okay, you know, if he's home. You know, that's the kind of thing you do. But again, okay, This is discretionary, okay, on the part of the people involved. Now, in some instances, I have a new neighbor that, he and a friend of his work on vehicles. And, I mean, they do everything from, plain mechanical work to some body work. And sometimes with body work, okay, they have to wrap it with a hammer several times, you know. But they usually stop about 9 at night.
Well, these ones usually start about 9, but they do have the drums back in the house again,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah. Sounds created by public utilities in carrying out the operation of their franchise. Spectrum comes to fix something, National Grid, et cetera, et cetera. My Bell doesn't do much of that anymore, or now it's Verizon or whomsoever. But they still do have copper lines, they just don't maintain them like they used to. And I wish they'd cut the trees around all of the wires, but that's another story. Sounds connected with sporting events or any public or private school, an authorized carnival, fair, exhibition, parade, etc. Authorized by permit of the town board. Now, this year, for the first time in a couple of years, we're gonna have a parade. The American Legion will be putting that on. I'm sure somebody will be doing a chicken barbecue. That usually goes hand in hand, whether it's the fire department, one of the churches, 2 of the churches. But we don't have too many of those. We don't have any games, if you will, at the school here in town. However, they do have exhibitions and they do have plays and everything. And probably the biggest thing that happens there is there's no place to park, and they wind up on parking on 104.
Yeah.
Sounds created by crop cultivation, production, harvesting, and livestock. If you've lived here a while, you at least can spell farm all by yourself. Okay, and you understand what goes hand in hand with a farm. I know, one meeting, young Mr. Beeling was here, and he was concerned because they go ahead and spray at night. And one of the reasons is, when the sun goes down, so does the wind. So they get the spray on the trees instead of on themselves and all over the place. Sounds created by safety and protective devices used for their intended purpose, whether it's the fire department, the police department, any of those things. Yes, when the sheriff or the state troopers go through on 104 at 2 o'clock in the morning, it's not a secret. Because they're doing about 80. And the lights are flashing and the siren is running. Sounds created by snow removal equipment in good working order. This kind of takes care of your getting out of your yard to go to work at 6 o'clock in the morning. But it also recognizes the fact that the town will be out and the state will be out plowing, sanding, and doing all those wonderful things. Now, there's kind of a catch-all here. Sounds which are authorized and exempt from this chapter by resolution of the town board, because said noise, although otherwise causing unreasonable noise, is part of a public works project where the general health, safety, and welfare of the citizenry is concerned. And that covers an awful lot of things, okay? Depending upon the weather or projected weather, sometimes when they're striping the highways, they stripe them very early in the morning.
But that's to our benefit though, you know, with this going on. It's not having somebody playing blasting music so loud you can't hear you on TV. That's just an entertainment and disturbance of the peace.
Sounds which are authorized as exempt from this chapter by resolution of the town board because said noise, although otherwise causing unreasonable noise, would be generated. Okay, from a non-public works project where the town board, for good cause shown, has determined that such waiver would be protective of the general health, welfare, and safety of the citizenry. However, should noise become a problem, the town board may rescind or modify any waiver. And that again is based upon input by the people of the town.
Are these exempt sounds that are exempt in scribal law? Or is this just something that?
This is exempt sounds, okay, that are in general and part of state of New York exempt sounds.
Okay.
The biggest thing is, okay, that, for the most part, now I don't know how many times Scriba has had to, issue a summons or a fine based upon their law that's been in effect for a number of years. Okay.
2005.
Yeah, so, you know, and I would doubt that it's gonna be a lot simply because, you know, your next door neighbors or your next door neighbors may say, hey, come on over, we're gonna have a couple of cocktails, cook some hamburgers, chew the fat, we haven't sat down and talked for a long time, and you talk a long time sometimes. The world does not end usually with that. Okay? It's when you go out of your way to make sounds, like the guy doing the donuts. I don't know if you noticed here in the town hall parking lot, somebody decided to do a donut. Okay? They've been doing them over at the end of Johnson Road.
Yeah.
Robot.
Yeah.
There's some down at the end of 6 and 104, or 6 and 1.
Yeah,
There's a bunch there.
yeah,
I just noticed some across from Manise's as I was coming in.
yeah. So I mean,
Some
this
kids-
is something that's different. There are people who go out and do malicious things, you know. Everything from tip over trash cans to, you know,
Yeah.
pick
Hit your
one.
mailbox or something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Cow tipping in your day, right?
Cow tipping, right? Only when the Indians were on the warpath. Oh, indigenous peoples.
We did outhouses.
Yeah.
I think he had to run faster with the outhouses though.
My uncle, who's long gone, he and his friends, when they lived in Mexico, they had moved here from Barneville, New York. And he made a bunch of friends, and they went out, and on Halloween, they stole one of Bob Munson's hay wagons, took it apart, put it back together again on top of the Presbyterian church.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. So I mean, things like that do happen,
Oh, yeah.
And got away with it.
pretty much,
Mhm.
you know. Of course, my uncle also was, and I don't know what anybody's religion is, okay, but he was one of these people on St. Patrick's Day. he always wore an orange bow tie to school,
Oh.
so.
I don't know.
But is there anything else that should be in here? I mean, $250 is a significant fine.
Mhm.
Now, who's going to enact the fines?
Well,
That's the problem.
Exactly.
once we have an
What'd you say,
ordinance,
Mr.?
Who's going to enact the fines? Who's going to,
Or
Well, once you have an
Enforce
ordinance, you
them.
can call the police,
Right.
yeah.
with the ordinance, I have sat down with Don Hilton, our sheriff here in Oswego County, talked to him about this issue of a noise ordinance, relayed to him the fact that the thing that's going on right now has happened at 4 different spots in this town over the past 5-6 years. Once in Mexico and once in Paris.
And once on Green Road.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I mean, this is a pattern, a definite pattern. Okay. He said he would, once we had an ordinance, he would run it by the county attorney. And if the county attorney nodded their head, he would go ahead and they would do enforcement. With that one caveat, you know what? There's certain things that come before noise.
anything?
Robbery,
Oh, yeah.
shooting, okay, high-speed chases, burglaries, blah, 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 blah. You know, and the thing they hate the most, domestic disputes.
Mhm.
So, he says, if it happens for the sake of argument on a Saturday night, when we're usually comparatively busy, he says, we might not get to it until Tuesday or Wednesday. But, he says, if there's an ordinance and there's a valid complaint, we will do that.
Do you have to document the complaint? Like with video or audio or?
Well, it should be, you should have some documentation, which basically is, okay, witnesses are as good as anything. You know? I mean, for the sake of argument, you see a white Camaro doing donuts, okay, and you get the license plate number 123 JYX, okay, and you happen to have someone with you, they can read too, that goes a long, long way.
But that's not under noise, that's under vehicle and traffic, so, you know what I'm saying, that's
Yeah.
not a noise issue, that's, they're gonna come for that, because that's against the road laws.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, you know, if you have some way of documenting it, and usually having a witness with you is good.
You're my witness, I'm yours.
See that, what you got into?
I witnessed that 110%. I got sick of it.
Hmm.
Trying to go to bed 9, 10 o'clock at
But,
night.
yeah,
It stopped though, right? The
No.
person moved? Oh, okay.
No, they didn't move. No, they said that,
They told Dan Barney that
they said they were
split up.
separated and they weren't, nobody was in the band anymore. And, but they lied because they have karaoke with great big huge speakers that blast and they sing and screech. But the thing is, she never left. They're still there. But now I see they drag the drums back in, so we hear them also.
And you called the police and they.
Yeah, oh, they can't do nothing.
They won't even come.
That's
They
why
have no noise ordinance in New Haven.
That's why I was telling
Because
Mr.
there's a state noise ordinance, I mean, these are from the New York state laws, so.
Mhm.
yeah,
That's why I was telling Mr. Cooper last time we were here. She called the police, and I even talked to a state police officer, which I knew his grandfather real well. I
yeah,
said, what can I do about it? He says, we can go down there, but he says, they can tell us to get the hell off their property.
yeah.
But Mr. Cooper seems to think different, cause he said he had been in the law enforcement and
You
stuff.
heard the cop on the phone,
Yeah, I know,
and I
I
talked
know
to the state
that.
police, so.
But he was DEC. DEC can do more than the police can, going onto
Not for
property.
noise, no, I already talked to them, they have
But,
nothing.
no, I mean going onto property wise.
Oh, yeah, but.
That's
as
probably why
far
the
as
police
doing
couldn't.
Noise or something like that,
Right.
they don't handle anything, they said.
Well, what like I say, these are the things that I see. I think, again, while we may have a local law filing, okay, with a lot of the good words that are here, we also have to recognize what is exempt. Simply because, okay, there's a lot of our citizenry that falls into these exempt items.
Well, this issue is not in the exempt.
Right, and somebody should bring this to Dan's attention again, because they tell him anything, I know he went there, somebody was telling us, they'd lie right to his face, but they are not separate.
These people don't have no respect
No,
in their property as far as, I mean, that's their business. As far as putting the garbage outside the road, this is how they are. They'll put garbage on top, and even when the wind's blowing, what's that gonna do?
Yeah.
go around, but
Lenny
that's,
Gates has had it in his field.
Well, I have an opposite issue. I have, Butler picks up my garbage,
That's what he's up.
and because I had a problem with a creature that wanted to get into my garbage, I took bungees and I bungeed my lid down.
good idea.
And that way, Ricky Raccoon has to think about it a while.
Yep. But they don't care for it, they'll put it outside the road, and not that there's nothing to do with noise ordinance, but it's just, that's just the kind of people they are.
Yeah.
They don't care about their neighbors.
And Butler is the same, their guys, if they drop it on the road, they don't bother putting
They
it
don't bother
back in the
picking it up.
truck. So I called them, I told them, I said, if it happens again, it blows on our lawn, I am calling DEC, and you will get a fine.
Because a woman next door years ago burned her garbage right in the driveway.
All of it,
We got-
glass and
we got
everything.
blamed for calling, the DEC caught it, and the DEC come over and told her.
Yeah, it was our fault, but we
Yeah,
didn't call
We
them.
didn't call them. The DEC come over and told her, if it happens again, I think it was like $800 to $1,500 fine.
Something like
Yeah.
that,
They
but-
were hot.
Oh, yeah, it's against the law to burn trash, burn garbage.
I mean, I know
Sure.
sometimes the wind, like the wind to blow and the garbage will fly, I mean, if it's, sometimes it gets out. But these people just don't respect anybody.
Yeah, well, see, my main problem was Ricky Raccoon came, got in the garbage, rocked back and forth, tipped it over, it went in the in the ditch.
Yep.
Okay, and he was in there rooting around apparently, and that whole ditch line was filled, and I'm out there picking it up. And I says to myself, Self, we're gonna stop this.
Yeah, that's something like that, yeah.
But the thing of it is, everybody complains about it, and I've gone to their houses,
Yes.
and like I said, Mr. Anderson probably didn't get home, cause he was here the
Yeah.
last time. But everybody complains about it, but nobody wants to show up, you
And
know?
Paul and Rhea, which is good people, lives up on Jackson Road, and they heard these news.
They
Oh,
can
yeah.
hear it up there, but usually, I'm surprised Paul's not
But I
here.
you can't get nobody else from,
No,
The thing is that the state, like when you call it the state troopers, it's already a noise ordinance in the state. So how can they put it back on the town when there's already a state law? So I don't.
I just called
You ever
911.
tried to
Keep adding
argue
more
with this?
laws to our world, you
They
know,
didn't wanna be bothered, that.
and they never
But
call.
Is it gonna be any different when we put a noise ordinance?
I don't know.
Well, it would have to be if you have a noise ordinance,
But-
and that would be a law.
But the
The-
state has a law.
Yeah.
It's a state law that
Yeah.
you aren't supposed to do all this. It's like fireworks.
Yes.
Fireworks are illegal in New York
Right.
State.
Yeah.
You ever been on the lake shore on the 4th of July?
Everywhere.
Or anyplace else in the town of New Haven.
But they don't enforce that.
No. I don't know, it's just like,
I mean,
The
if
only
we
thing
gotta
we
put a
can-
law in, we'll put a law in.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna make people happy, but I don't think it's gonna change anything.
I don't know that it will or it won't, but there's only one way to find out. You know?
put it in and see, you know?
Right.
These that way you say, okay, you can't do nothing, well, you got no noise ordinance now.
Right.
Now what's your excuse? That's all
Right.
that's all you can tell them.
Yeah, right, when they told me, well, they can't do nothing, New Haven has no noise ordinance.
But the
Well,
state does.
Right,
And
but then
that-
well, I'll remember that the next time, I'll
Yeah.
say, yep, the state does, and then if they pass one for New Haven, I'll say, yes, New Haven does have one.
Well, disorderly conduct has been on the books
Right.
since,
That's right.
I don't know when. But usually, okay, if, unless there's a cop coming back and forth, you know, all the time, okay? You know, he'll stop once and say, look, you can't be making this much noise. Okay, and usually the only
If
thing we
gotta put a
can,
law in, we'll put a law in,
Yeah.
and that's what's gonna make people happy, but I don't think it's gonna change anything.
I don't know that it will or it won't, but there's only one way to find out. You know?
Put it in and say, yeah.
Right.
At least that way you say, okay, you can't do nothing, well, you got no noise ordinance now.
Right.
Now what's your excuse? That's all,
Right.
that's all you can tell them.
Yeah, right, when they told me, well, they can't do nothing, New Haven has no noise ordinance.
But the
Well,
state does.
Right,
and
but
that
then
was-
well, I'll remember that the next time, I'll
Yeah.
say, yep, the state does, and then if they pass one for New Haven, I'll say, yes, New Haven does have one.
Yeah. Well, disorderly conduct has been on the books
That's right.
since,
That's right.
I don't know when, okay?
Yeah.
But usually, okay, if, unless there's a cop coming back and forth, you know, all the time, okay? You know, he'll stop once and say, look, you can't be making this much noise. Okay, and usually most people listen to him.
That's what I'm saying, I don't know what she said, I don't know why the state, you know, why didn't they come down and just say that to them?
Right.
But they, you can't get down there.
But it's a situation that is just as,
Every time.
She did that one time, well, a couple times.
Every
Well,
day.
I will keep calling, if they do pass a noise ordinance, I don't care, I will call and call and
Look at the
call.
last time you called, and they didn't call you back an hour later
Yeah.
to tell you
Well,
that they can't go down there.
Right, yeah,
but, so, that particular part, okay, now the thing we have to work on is, what is the complaint form gonna look like?
Well, once we have an ordinance in, we shouldn't have to have a complaint form, it should be up to the county sheriffs
Yep.
to deal with that. We've got an noise ordinance, they're gonna have to do that complaint.
that's another thing I was gonna ask you,
Why
now,
should
if
we
it
do
did go through, would everybody in their mailbox get a letter stating that there now is a noise ordinance?
They'll be in the paper probably,
Mm.
the website, yeah.
No,
In case, has anybody bought any stamps lately?
oh yeah,
60-some cents, is it?
50.
Just
come
Fifty.
on.
60-some cents.
Oh, I was saying that's going up to 76,
Yeah,
Is
it's
that-
going up again.
yeah.
You wanna make a noise about that?
Well, the bottom line is, okay, understand, okay, there's 1,700 properties, plus or minus, here in the town.
Oh, that's what
And
you.
if everyone gets one,
Right.
okay, I don't know how your math is, but you're gonna be spending about $800 for stamps. That doesn't count
Paper.
the paper and the envelope.
Yeah, but don't we pay taxes for a reason?
Oh, yeah.
We wouldn't need to do.
Do you want the
that.
taxes to go up though?
No,
It would be just the way we do any other local
Oh, yeah.
law, we'd have to do a public hearing before we put the
Right.
local law in place. That would be advertised that we were having a public
Right.
hearing to talk about a noise ordinance.
Would be-
The law would be sitting there so everybody that came to
Yeah.
the public hearing could hear it.
And it would be posted on our bulletin board, it would be on the town website,
In the paper.
and it might be, in the paper, but
Launch
You
it
don't-
in
you
the
don't-
paper.
Oh, that's it.
I
And they
told
would
them,
say-
I told them not to
You need to
advertise
know
any more of these meetings, because, since we switched papers, the price of poker's gone up.
No, it was about the same.
And have you tried to look on that website? How do you complain about that? Because it's very hard to see those public notices.
On our website.
It's Syracuse.com,
Right.
the official newspaper of the town. It's so hard to find something on there.
Well, not only that,
There should be on
but
the
they
website.
keep interrupting you because they want you to subscribe.
Well, plus you have to go through like 100 or more. If you can, the advertisements, and then it throws you back, and it's ridiculous.
But it should be anything that a local law that we're going to make, or anything that's advertised should be on our website, so it should be able to be clicked on from our website.
Yeah.
so now when you do get a noise ordinance together, where does it go from there, to the board?
Yeah,
The board is, is the ones that will approve or deny.
Yeah,
How many people's on the board?
There's 5 of us.
like I said, please let Dan know that this was a lie they told him about that.
And
Well, there's
like the
myself
meetings,
and,
like
myself and
34.
Patty, Joe Sprino,
Mhm.
okay, Mary Curcio, okay, and Dan Barn.
Like I said before, we'd have been here by now, long before now, if we'd known we could've come. I was told, I can't get the person's name, it was right in this building, that we couldn't come to these meetings and voice our opinion, didn't we?
I don't want anybody to tell you that.
At these meetings, you can't, the regular board meetings, you can't speak it.
Any
You
of
can't,
them.
you can't speak at the
We
board
were
meetings
told
anymore.
that there was none,
That's
not
what they
even,
told us.
not even these meetings
You don't
that
know
we
who
could
told
speak.
you
Yeah, I do know who told me, but I won't say the person's name,
Yeah,
because
it's
I don't wanna get anybody in trouble.
right, but that's why, that's
Yeah,
what.
we'd have been here by now,
people did.
I didn't know.
But, yeah, because, Rhea brought in the list,
Yeah,
which says list at the top, and people tried to say that it was a petition,
no,
and it was erroneous because there was all the same handwriting. This is the word list, it's that 4 letters up there, LIST.
Cause the people got sick of listening to it, and she went around, she did most of the work.
I talked
and-
to them all,
And
and it's
now,
like,
you can't get them to come here, but they'll complain about it, you
Yeah.
can't get them, I don't care anymore, if they say anything about cross street to me, if he says anything to me, I said, it's
I
gonna
can't
be.
understand Lenny not coming, Greg, Lenny will complain about it
He
anyway.
don't claim, he claims it ain't gonna go no place.
he could hear it just as much as we
Yes.
can, we're both right across the road from him, and he bitches to us,
And
but he
we-
hasn't to me lately, cause I'm gonna say,
Right,
well, then, you know what?
Go to the
Then Go to
meetings.
the meetings with us.
Because we even heard him out the window yelling to him. Why don't you guys learn how to sing before you try to play? Yes, right out the window, hey, and it gets that bad where you gotta say something to him.
Oh, yeah. The thing that would give me concern, okay, is it's the type of situation that can accelerate quickly.
Okay.
Yep.
Uh,
I know one thing, if he comes on my property, I'm gonna look him right in the face, I'm gonna tell him, but I'm not gonna take one more step, because if you do, one of us is gonna be hurt.
Yeah.
Because
We
I
tried to be
tried
good
to,
neighbors to
good
him, it
neighbors
just
to
wouldn't
him,
work.
like I said, I brush hogged this whole field for him, I helped him get everything set up, never charged him a penny, I just being the neighbor, and this is how,
They're just the type, they don't care.
they don't care. They do
That's-
not care,
That's their business and that's it.
and after we heard all this.
It's a very sad thing
sad.
that things like this occur, but that's why you have ordinances,
Yep.
okay? And, ordinances, okay, do provide a bit of protection. Nothing is absolute. Because if all you do is take and watch the news tonight,
Oh, yeah.
and somebody will shoot somebody and they're
Yeah.
14 years old and they did it with a illegal handgun, and they all go home, they go to lollipop court and then they go home for supper.
This guy is a whack job, I'm telling you.
They all are.
So why don't we just have our legal person make up our thing, right, I mean,
Ask her to pop this ordinance into, make it New Haven. And move along.
and I'm not for it, but I
No.
understand.
Are all these noises going to be from 8 AM to whatever
Well,
you said?
That's why I was questioning this here.
That's always debatable, okay? And again, okay, you've got exempt sounds for the things that you have to do.
Which is understandable, it's understandable.
Now, okay, the times. See, now my world is a different world, okay?
This, Scribus says 11 to 7.
Which I think is, 11 at night to 7 more, which I think is a little too late
I
myself.
think nine was the best, would be the best.
But, you guys are,
You're not for the noise ordinance?
I don't think it's gonna be, enforced. We have no enforcement here in New Haven, we don't
No.
have a constable.
There is none.
There's nobody that's going to enforce it. We can put it on the books, but
Well,
it's not gonna change anything.
The other thing that can be done, again, and
I'm
it's,
not against it.
Right.
we would have to write it in, but if, the sheriff, okay, or the state police, okay, find that they cannot accomplish reasonable policing of this, then, okay, you can hire the constable to do that. And
We don't have a.
Bill,
You mean
we
just
could
a
draw.
person? So.
we can draw on the
What if I was to go, what if I was to go to one of the state police and ask them, if we have a noise ordinance, would you honor? I'll ask them. I'll go ahead, I know.
Well, I've got a couple of state troopers I talk to frequently.
Well, you said Don Hilton said they'd look
Yeah,
at
you
it,
said
so,
that.
well,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, it's all.
But that's the other option, is we could hire the constable, and his service would come with, he'd come and say, hey, look, you gotta shut this down, and he'd hand them a bill.
Yeah, but really, you shouldn't have to hire a constable. That should be, like she was saying before, that should be the state, the law. That should be the sheriff, like Hilton said.
But that's another way, you make it painful, just him showing up, okay, you present him with a town bill for his time.
And they won't pay it.
Right.
Well, see, now that's another whole story.
I don't think the state or the sheriff could.
When you don't pay a bill that the town provides, whether it's a water bill, your tax bill, or some other bill, they add interest to it.
Doesn't it get reabsorbed into the town and we all pay for it though? That's what happens with the water bills.
That's right.
So what's gonna happen, we're gonna be paying the,
Well,
the fines
Well,
that,
they add those back onto their tax bill. So like when we reabsorb those water bills, when we do that at the meeting, we take it on, but then they put it back on their taxes. A lot of people do that on purpose.
Yeah.
They don't pay their water bill, they add it onto their taxes. They can claim their taxes on their income tax, as a deduction, so it just adds to that.
Another thing, ask Ron Marsden about this guy here. Ron, about his taxes, about how what do you call that when you're supposed to have to get into your house,
Occupancy.
Ask Ron Marsden about him.
Mhm.
Ask him what he went through. Ron will tell you what kind of guy he is. He knows him, he went to school with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's, like I say, there's all kinds of people in this world.
Yep, there is.
It used to be you could go to your neighbor and say, hey, I'm trying to sleep, you got a baby trying to sleep, can you keep it
You
down?
won't talk to this guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Or you could do like I used to do with Doug, next door, okay, Doug Rice. I go over, if you start that motorcycle again, without the baffles in it, I'm gonna beat you until you're dead.
okay, I'm
Being
recording,
recorded.
I'm recording here. You're good friends now, right?
Yeah, but the ones that will complain the most is like the ones that go to the board meetings and they're sitting out in the audience and you say something and they are, oh, nay and yay, we don't need this or that, until they get somebody
Oh, yeah.
across from them like that,
Well,
then they'll want the noise ordinance.
First of all, when this goes to board meeting, they should look in the past, just take these people, what they've done.
Yeah,
in
what
Green-
different places that they
Greenville,
kicked out of.
Mexico,
Yeah.
these same people, that's gotta be telling them something. Hey, that's a red flag there.
But
They
that's,
have.
I mean,
the other thing,
But
they
it-
rented, now they own,
Yep.
so.
But there's only so much they can do. People complain for a year or more about the batch plant waking them up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. They weren't supposed to start until 7, and then supposed to be done at 4 in the winter, 6 in the summer. They would go till like 8 o'clock at night. They would start, but they fixed that now because the planning board changed the hours, made it earlier, and they're open later, so now you can't complain. So that may be a fix that you're gonna get. You don't always get
Well,
what you want.
anything's better than,
there's
Yeah,
one of the
that
things that happened was, okay, the planning board, okay, I don't know that they can change, that they could have changed those, my opinion.
they changed it. They took and, yeah, I was there that night. And I saw what,
We
Are
can't
you
control
taping
what
this
they
for
do,
your
so-
own service?
yeah, my husband's usually here, so he's not here. And friends, people like to, like you
I
say,
didn't think you were able to bring your phones and tape anything.
oh yeah, it's a public meeting. But people, like you say, they don't want to come. People on Darrow Road, they don't care anymore. Forget it.
No,
They're
I
not
didn't
gonna,
know that, I didn't think you could, so.
Yeah.
yep, no, anything, any public meetings you can film.
No, anyways, like Dan told her, she said, well, maybe you gotta come to the meeting. We're here, so make sure you tell Dan, we're at the meeting.
Well, I talked to Dan during the summer, when I was trying to talk to him about this, and he told me we couldn't come to the meetings also, so he was one of them.
Now, he might have met the board meetings, but we didn't know this. Like I said, we,
Definitely come to the board meeting.
You should come to the
Yeah,
board
don't
meeting.
Don't allow public
right,
comment.
right.
I would-
Any meeting the town holds, whether it's a committee meeting, a planning board meeting, a town board meeting,
I know
any
Dan,
of those.
I know Dan Barney real well, I know Joe Springer real well.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, cause I talked to him through the summer several times, and, that's, always was like, well, I guess we can, I don't wanna get myself in trouble like somebody
And
else.
you put it on the website that it's an open meeting now, you said
Right.
you stopped doing that.
You can get the recordings too down at the, are you recording it? You're supposed to take,
No,
take
you-
minutes?
I've got it. Now you're an official of the town.
This has been used once before as official. Yeah. When the tape recorder died on her one time, and she's like, can I use your video? So it was.
You know,
I have to watch my facial expressions.
for me, I would think that, I know when I used to do lockdowns, I used to, for years, I carried a notepad and, wrote down, so on and so forth, and everything. I get back and try to decipher my notes and remember what room I was in. And then I discovered a DVR. And mine, okay, I wore my DVR, I had my ear plug in, and I had the mic here. So I would talk into that. Then I'd go back to the office, okay, plug it into my computer, okay, and Dragon would put everything that I said on my computer in Word. Now, I did have to go in because sometimes it, kind of bollocksed up the, couple of words, and made words that didn't exist and everything. But I pretty much could solve that. And I'll tell you, it's the greatest thing in the world.
well, like she said, we'd like to have more people here. I mean, how many people did we see, we go to? It was in that neighborhood.
There was 9 of us
Well-
on the list.
But
We could have another meeting, okay, next week. Oh, wait a minute, where are you gonna be? You're gonna be chasing whales or some damn thing.
I will be gone, I'll be back.
it ain't gonna be, we still ain't gonna get anybody here.
Right.
She's gonna check and see when she's gonna be back.
I'll be back by Wednesday.
Well, isn't this a bad time? Isn't that why a lot of people didn't come? Like Melissa Wendy's
Well,
usually
see,
here.
normally I would have it in the evening at 6:00, but Joe's got a meeting.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
we appreciate any time you do.
So,
Yep, anything you do for us, we appreciate it.
well,
But,
all I can say is we're gonna come up with an ordinance, we will, submit it to the town board. The town board can approve or disapprove of it. I would expect them to approve of it. And then it will go to the county, the sheriff will take a look at it, and he'll pass it to the county attorney.
Then we do a public hearing after that, cause we have to have a public hearing before we
Yeah.
go to local.
and that would be the regular town board meeting,
We
right?
have to have a public hearing before that, and that's when the public.
public hearing's
can
different.
comment.
The public hearing's different than the town board
You
meeting.
can talk about it.
Yeah.
Everybody can come and speak.
Yes, so before we would put a noise ordinance into our local laws, the public has the right to talk,
Okay.
so. And you might get people before it, for it or against it.
Right.
And then after the public meeting is closed, then the town board decides whether to vote for it or against it.
Happen.
Right, the other thing that has happened in the past, okay, they decided not to decide and do some revision before,
Right.
okay, and then they'd have another public meeting. But,
Well, like I said, like she said, we appreciate everything you people are doing for us.
Everything you're trying
I
to
mean,
do.
try to do for us, I mean,
well, I understand where you're coming from,
Yeah.
and, like I said, I think it was the last meeting. previously, when some people were here, and they made a complaint, and they kind of embellished what had happened. They said that they called the sheriff came, and the individual sicked a dog on.
Right,
And I said, I know a lot of cops, and I don't know one that would not have pulled his weapon, shot the dog, and arrested the owner for assault with intent.
and I can see them doing that, Judge.
Yeah, I mean, if I could talk to this person, I would, but
There's no talking to them.
Well, again, you know, this is one of the things that happens, is when you have a lot of emotion on each side, it doesn't take much to accelerate it into a
no,
bad,
it don't.
you know? I mean,
Yeah,
I was younger once, and I remember some of the things that I did.
Well, me too.
Is it parties or is it just they have a band?
they have their own band,
Okay.
and, it's just, they play whenever they feel like
Yeah.
it, and their windows are all wide open because they smoke.
They might get a win,
Both.
9, 10 o'clock at night, might play, and we've heard them as much, a couple of times at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, and it's so loud that if I want to watch my own TV, I have to have headphones on, and I can still hear it.
She's got headphones in the bedroom and headphones outside the.
If I want to go to sleep, I have earplugs I have to put in. And it's like, I try to talk to them, we let them borrow stuff when they can,
Yeah.
we try to help them, and it's like, this is how you get paid, you know, so we haven't probably talked to them in, well, almost 3.5 years.
Yeah. And it kept
And they'll
going
be
on,
there
it kept
4
going
years
on.
in
They're
May.
that long? It's been 4
They've been,
years?
because they live from May to October 2020 in campers,
With generators.
and
That didn't bother.
we never said a word.
Never said a word to them, how much they wanted, because we knew they wanted to get into their house and do stuff, we didn't care.
But they
That's what
live
trying
in
to
the
get something done.
trailers,
They
and
lived in them trailers and.
they're falling apart beside the road, we don't say nothing, but it's just like, they'll be there 4 years, and it's enough, it's just enough.
Well, yeah, it's, again, it's one of these things that is definitely not pleasant.
No, it isn't, she's lived there 70 years. I've been with her for,
71 years I lived there.
and I've been with you, what, 32, 35, and I can see where she's going. I mean,
32, 35,
32
big jump.
32 in September. 32 in September. But I can see, hey,
It's just like,
it's bad.
and I don't understand where other people complain about it, but don't wanna
That's what
help
really
do
blows me.
anything.
Yeah, well,
That's what really broke.
again, it's the confrontational thing.
Yes, it
I
is, that's
think more than
why,
anything,
I thought-
which again, I don't understand why it needs to be heard.
That's, we worried about
that's
that.
what we were scared of,
I told her, I said,
confrontation,
you know
like when
something?
you're gone or you're bad or something, them doing something, and thought, it's like enough is enough, you gotta try.
I put cameras up too. I got cameras up. And I got it pointed right towards your house, cause in my driveway, in my pole barn, and I can look anytime I want, because I just don't trust them.
No?
You
Well,
say there's been a lot of people that you know that you talk to about it. You should take some of these papers and give them to them, because you've got extras,
They
right?
still wouldn't come, I don't care.
But just to let them know what's going on, that
Yeah.
these are the things that are being considered. It can't hurt.
I can do that.
And I've talked to him. Fred Stone, when she called me in the first meeting, I go, I don't know. I hate going to people's houses and tell them stuff or ask them stuff, but I did,
Yeah, she
and
did it, she did it all
at
on her
least
own.
Mr. Anderson showed up,
Yeah, he's-
and Paul was there for Rhea, but something must have went on with them tonight, cause I know she was gonna send Paul, but,
Well, I know that, you know, you talk about having cameras up, okay, I think that's a necessity today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is,
It
Yep.
really is.
it is.
Many years ago, several years ago, my wife, they had a parade here, this Memorial Day. My wife went out to hang up some laundry. And, you know, I mean, the door was open, okay. Next morning, she went over to get a prescription, and she called me and she says, did something fall out of my purse, or did you take anything out of my purse? And I says, what? She says, I haven't got any credit cards and I haven't got any cash.
oh my goodness.
Somebody had, while she was out back, had come in, taken her credit cards and about $140 in cash. And out they went, that we didn't even know. So, of course, after that happened, we spent the rest of the day on the phone with all the credit card companies, canceling and blah, blah, blah.
This, Carrie, the world is turning. You should see some of the people going through the drive-through McDonald's over there, a couple women arguing, fighting because they can't get their car ahead, or some of the people,
It's gonna get worse.
it's gonna get
It's
worse.
gonna get better.
And so anyways, okay, I put up security cameras.
Yeah.
I've got another one that I was gonna put on one of the doorbells, camera. And I got the thing and everything, and I started going through it, and I started checking it out on the internet. And I find out that it's got an open back end. Okay? So if you can spell mother all by yourself, okay, you can get in the back door. And that is not a good thing. So back went the camera, and I had a hell of an argument with Amazon. And I says, look, it's got an open back door. You give me one that's doesn't have an open back door, you can have it.
We got a call, or on our camera, we got a message from the police asking if our camera is pointed towards the road, can you check it out for a certain vehicle going by at a certain time? So,
Really?
yeah. Yep.
My daughter lives in West Monroe, and she's even got my camera on her phone now. She asked me, she said, Dad, do you care if I said, no.
No, the more eyes, the better.
Yeah.
So mine are set up, so everything goes right to the cloud.
Yeah,
Now,
ours is too.
It goes to I've got a DVR, okay, it goes to that, but it also goes bing, right to the cloud. Not 10 minutes later or anything, it goes now. Okay.
Well, I appreciate
Yep.
you guys having this meeting again.
Well,
When we have the next one?
hopefully, I'm gonna take a look and see if we can get one. I got a bunch of appointments coming up, but
No, keep these ones.
that's what happens when you live longer.
Believe me.
Spend all your time at doctors.
Yeah, you get to go steady with a doctor and his nerves.
Well, anyway, like she said again, I appreciate
Yeah,
everything you guys do.
Yeah,
Glad someone does.
We do.
believe me. Yeah, at least somebody was willing to listen to us.
Yep, that's a